Gentlemen, let me begin with a truth you may not expect. If you're over 60 and finding your energy fading, your stamina slipping, and your bedroom confidence not what it used to be, the problem may not be testosterone, your prostate, or even your age. The real culprit could be something as simple and as overlooked as how you drink water. Yes, water. A habit so basic that when done wrong, it can thicken your blood, slow your circulation, and quietly rob you of the very pressure your erections depend on. My name is Dr. Jonathan Prescott. I've spent more than 3 decades as a board-certified urologist helping men restore vitality, protect their prostate, and reclaim a sense of confidence they thought was gone forever. And across those years, I've seen a pattern: men who believe decline is inevitable, when in truth their bodies are simply running dry. Here's the paradox. You've heard all your life that you need to drink more water. But what no one explained is that drinking at the wrong time, in the wrong way, or in the wrong amounts can quietly sabotage you. When you miss what your body truly needs, fatigue sets in, recovery slows, focus drifts, and yes, erections weaken. The good news is this: when you hydrate correctly, you restore circulation, unlock steady energy, and bring back a kind of presence that feels decades younger. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s regain sharper focus, steadier moods, and stronger intimacy simply by adjusting their water habits. And in this series, I'll reveal the exact mistakes most men make and the step-by-step strategy you can start tomorrow morning. Gentlemen, stay with me. These changes may be the fastest way to revive your body and your confidence. Before we dive deeper, I want to ask you something simple. If you care about living with energy and dignity, hit that like button right now. Every time you press like, it tells me you're not giving up, you're choosing to fight for your best years. And here's my wish for you. May every like you give return to you in the form of steadier mornings, stronger nights, and a life that feels alive again. May your glass be full, your heart steady, and your days rich with the strength you deserve. Now don't stop there, subscribe. And turn on the notification bell and drop a comment. If you're ready to begin this water strategy, type 1 below. If you're not sure yet, type 0 and tell me what's holding you back. I read every response. And together, we're building a community of men who refuse to settle for decline. Gentlemen, now that you see why hydration may be the missing key, let's explore why it matters more than ever after 60. When I sit across from men in their 60s and 70s, I hear the same quiet frustration again and again. Doctor, I just don't feel like myself anymore. My afternoons drag, my strength is fading, and intimacy, well, it feels like a struggle. Many of these men are convinced it's simply the price of aging. But after 30 years of practice, I can tell you that what feels like aging is often something far more basic and far more reversible. The hidden culprit is dehydration. And it doesn't just leave you thirsty, it quietly sabotages your energy, your circulation, and your performance. Think about this: an erection is not magic, it is hydraulics. Just as a garden hose relies on steady water pressure to expand and stay firm, your body relies on blood volume and pressure to fill erectile tissue and keep it there. And what is blood mostly made of? Water, more than 90%. When your body runs low, the blood volume falls, circulation slows, and the very pressure that fuels your performance begins to fade. Even with normal testosterone levels, a man who is dehydrated will struggle. Why does this matter so much after 60? Because the body itself changes with age. Your kidneys, which once held water with ease, lose efficiency. Your blood vessels, once flexible, begin to stiffen. That means the mild dehydration a younger man might shrug off can hit you like a hammer. What does it feel like? Heavy afternoons, slower recovery after even light activity, foggier mornings, and less reliable erections. The tragedy is that these symptoms overlap perfectly with the so-called normal complaints of aging, so men assume it's inevitable. They surrender when in fact their bodies are just running dry. I'll give you an example, Thomas. A 67-year-old retired teacher came to me convinced his best days were behind him. He felt exhausted, discouraged, and told me, "Doctor, I think I'm just old." But when we corrected his hydration, starting with a morning reset and steady sipping through the day, something remarkable happened. Within 2 weeks, his afternoons were steadier, his mind clearer, and his intimacy with his wife returned in a way that brought tears to both their eyes. He said, "As I thought this part of my life was over, all I needed was water." Thomas's story isn't rare, it's common. Hydration matters more after 60 because your margin for error is smaller. You no longer have the cushion you had at 30 or 40. Dehydration doesn't just leave you parched. It taxes every organ system that matters. Your heart pumps harder to move thicker blood. Your muscles fatigue faster because they are starved of oxygen, and your erections, those delicate hydraulic events, falter because there simply isn't enough pressure left to sustain them. This is why I tell my patients water is not just a lifestyle choice. It is medicine. It costs nothing, has no side effects, and supports every cell in your body. But here's the catch. The way you drink it matters. Wrong timing, wrong amounts, or poor habits can sabotage the benefits. So I want you to pause and ask yourself, why do your afternoons feel heavier than your mornings? Why does recovery take longer? Why are your nights less dependable than they once were? Could it be as simple as the glass of water you didn't drink? That realization should give you hope, because unlike age, hydration is something you can control today. And when you do, the difference can be astonishing. I've watched men return with sharper focus, more stable moods, and intimacy they thought belonged only to memory. Gentlemen, your body after 60 is not broken, it is thirsty. And once you begin to meet that need, you may be shocked by how alive you can feel again. Now that we understand why hydration matters more than ever in your 60s and beyond, it's time to look at the mistakes. It's because most men don't even realize the daily habits that are quietly draining their vitality. And if you're making them, no amount of effort in other areas will ever give you the results you want. Let's talk about those hidden mistakes. Over the years, I've sat across from countless men who swore water couldn't possibly be their problem. "Doctor, I drink water every single day," they'd insist. But when I asked them to describe how they drank it, the truth revealed itself. It wasn't that they weren't drinking, it was that they were drinking in all the wrong ways. These hidden mistakes repeat day after day, slowly draining vitality, circulation, and confidence. And because the impact is subtle, most men never connect the dots. The first mistake is beginning the day with everything but water. Too many men wake after 7 or 8 hours of sleep already dehydrated, and instead of reaching for a glass of water, they grab coffee or tea. Don't get me wrong, coffee has its place. But as a mild diuretic, it pushes water out of your system instead of replenishing it. That means you're starting the day in a deficit, with thickened blood and sluggish circulation before breakfast even begins. The second mistake is what I call the desert and flood cycle. Many men coast through the day with barely a sip, then try to make up for it at night by downing 2 or 3 glasses. But your body doesn't thrive on this rhythm. During the day, when your muscles, brain, and intimate tissues need hydration most, your blood is too thick. Then, when you overload yourself at night, you don't absorb it efficiently, you just spend half the night up to urinate. The result? Fatigue, disrupted sleep, and even less energy the next day. The third mistake is what I call the pre-performance rush. Some men believe chugging water right before exercise or intimacy will give them a boost, but hydration doesn't work like flipping a switch. Large amounts at the last minute don't translate into stronger circulation. What they do is dilute electrolytes, bloat your stomach, and overload your bladder. Edward, a 64-year-old accountant, once told me he always drank 2 tall glasses right before intimacy with his wife, convinced it would help. In reality, it only interrupted their moments together with frequent trips to the bathroom. When he switched to steady hydration earlier in the day, his focus and confidence returned almost overnight. And then there's the most dangerous mistake of all, relying on thirst. Gentlemen, thirst is not a reliable guide. By the time you feel thirsty, your body is already behind. Circulation has slowed, tissues are underhydrated, and performance is compromised. A younger man might bounce back quickly. But after 60, with stiffer blood vessels and less efficient kidneys, waiting for thirst means you're already playing catch-up. Each of these mistakes may sound small, but together they form a pattern that quietly steals vitality. They make your blood thicker when it should flow freely. They leave you tired when you most need energy. And they undermine your confidence in the moments that matter most. What frustrates me most is seeing men accept these struggles as just aging, when in truth it's poor hydration habits. But here's the hopeful part: every one of these mistakes can be corrected. And when they are, the results often appear faster than you'd think. Men who once battled fatigue and fading intimacy find themselves with stronger mornings, steadier afternoons, and more dependable nights, simply by changing how they drink water. So here's my challenge for you: pause and ask yourself honestly. Do you reach for coffee before water in the morning? Do you coast through the day and then flood yourself at night? Do you depend on thirst to tell you when to drink? If so, you may already be sabotaging your own circulation. The good news is that the fix doesn't require medication, supplements, or expensive treatments. It's about rhythm, consistency, and awareness. And the best way to begin that correction is with a single, powerful habit, one morning routine that resets your entire system for the day ahead. That's where we go next. Gentlemen, before we move on to the morning routine that can transform your circulation, I want to pause and answer a few of your questions. In the last video, many of you left thoughtful comments, sharp challenges, and even a few playful jabs. I promised I'd respond, and I always keep my word. Let's step into the mailbag. Question 1, Doctor, I already drink 8 glasses a day. Why am I still tired? This is one I hear often. 8 glasses is a nice round number, but it's not just about quantity, it's about timing and rhythm. If you drink most of your water late in the day, you'll spend your nights in the bathroom instead of in deep sleep. If you drink it all at once, your body can't use it efficiently. The secret is steady hydration spread across your waking hours. Think of it like music. It's not the volume alone that matters, it's the beat. Question 2, isn't this just common sense? Why should men over 60 treat water like medicine? I admire this question because it points to the heart of the issue. Yes, water seems simple, but gentlemen, simplicity is deceptive. Your body after 60 is not the same machine it was at 30. Kidneys lose efficiency, blood vessels stiffen, hormone cycles shift. That means what once was common sense no longer works the same way. Treating water as medicine is not exaggeration. It's recognition that after 60, the margin for error is razor thin. Question 3, Doctor, are you saying water is better than Viagra? I had to smile when I read this one. No, water is not a magic pill. It won't replace medication when it's truly needed, but here's what it does do. It gives your body the foundation those pills depend on. If your circulation is sluggish because your blood is too thick, no pill in the world can fully compensate. Hydration won't solve everything, but it ensures that when you do need help, your body responds at its best. So in a sense, water is not a rival, it's an ally. Question 4, I wake up 2 or 3 times a night to urinate. How do I hydrate without ruining my sleep? This is practical, and I thank you for asking it. The key is cut-off time. Hydrate steadily through the day, but set a boundary 2 to 3 hours before bed. That way, your body uses the water you've given it, but your bladder isn't overloaded at night. Many of my patients who adopt this rule find their nights calmer, their mornings clearer, and their energy far steadier. Question 5, my grandfather never drank much water and lived to 90. Isn't this overblown? I hear this argument often. Gentlemen, we all know exceptions: the uncle who smoked and lived to 95, the farmer who ate bacon every morning and kept working the fields. But individual cases don't erase the rule. Medicine isn't built on anecdotes, it's built on patterns. And the pattern is undeniable. Dehydration burdens your heart, weakens circulation, and robs you of energy. Your grandfather may have beaten the odds, but do you really want to gamble your health on luck? Question 6. Doctor, be honest, are you just telling us to drink water so you can fill time? This one made me laugh. Let me be clear, I could fill an hour talking about testosterone medication or prostate surgery, but I'd be doing you a disservice if I skipped the basics. The truth is, the foundation of vitality is not complicated, it's consistent. Water is free, effective, and overlooked. Sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't the one in a bottle, it's the one already in your kitchen. Gentlemen, I value every comment, from the serious to the skeptical. Keep asking, keep challenging. This isn't just my podcast, it's our conversation. And now that we've cleared up some of these questions, let's return to the practical side. Because the most powerful shift you can make starts the moment you open your eyes. It's the morning reset routine, and it can change everything. If there is one habit I wish every man over 60 would adopt, it's this: drink a full glass of water within the first 20 minutes of waking. I call this the morning reset routine. It may sound simple, but its effect on circulation, clarity, and confidence is remarkable. Think about what happens overnight. For 7 or 8 hours, you've gone without fluid. While you slept, you breathed out moisture, your skin released tiny amounts of sweat, and your kidneys filtered waste. By sunrise, your body is running at a deficit, and yet what do most men do? They stumble to the kitchen and pour coffee. Coffee may wake up the mind, but it doesn't restore blood volume. In fact, as a mild diuretic, it takes even more water out of your system. That means you're starting your day with sluggish circulation, thicker blood, and a disadvantage before you've even had breakfast. Now let me tell you what happens when you flip the script. When my patients drink 12 to 14 ounces of water first thing in the morning, their bloodstream responds like a river after rainfall. Volume rises, pressure stabilizes, and circulation flows stronger. Men describe it as if their whole body wakes up at once. Samuel, a 62-year-old retired engineer, once told me, "Doctor, it's like my energy is coming from inside me instead of from caffeine." Within a week of adopting the morning reset, his brain fog lifted, his afternoons no longer dragged, and his mornings brought back something he hadn't felt in years: natural strength and confidence. Some men add a pinch of mineral-rich salt and a squeeze of lemon to that first glass. The salt replaces electrolytes that support nerve and muscle function, while the lemon delivers vitamin C, a protecting nitric oxide, the very molecule your body relies on to relax blood vessels and improve blood flow. With this simple combination, you're not just hydrating, you're actively fueling circulation in a way that benefits your heart, your brain, and yes, your intimacy. Picture your bloodstream as a riverbed. Overnight, the water level falls, leaving rocks exposed and currents sluggish. When you drink that morning glass, it's like opening the dam. The current surges. Oxygen and nutrients move to every cell, and the system comes alive. Your muscles feel stronger, your mind sharper, and your erections more dependable. All from a glass of water. And here's what makes it so powerful. It costs nothing, it requires no prescription, and it takes less than a minute. It's not about adding something complex to your life, it's about correcting what your body has been missing for decades. One of my patients told me, half joking but half serious, that after his first week on the morning reset, his wife leaned over and said, "I don't know what you're doing differently, but I feel like I have my husband back." That is the kind of transformation one glass can begin, not just for your body, but for your relationships and your confidence. Gentlemen, this is where control begins. Tomorrow morning, before the coffee, before the emails, before the noise of the day, drink your water. Make it the very first decision of your day and you'll set your body on a different path, stronger, clearer, steadier. But hydration doesn't stop with the morning reset. That glass is the spark. To keep the current flowing through your day, you need a rhythm, a practice that sustains the benefits hour after hour. And that's what we turn to next, the power of steady sipping. If the morning reset is the spark that wakes up your system, steady sipping throughout the day is the steady fuel that keeps your engine running. Too many men in their 60s still treat water like an afterthought, something to gulp when fatigue crashes over them or when thirst becomes unbearable. But by then, gentlemen, it's already too late. Your circulation has been dragging, your tissues underfueled, and your body left fighting uphill for hours. Water isn't meant to be delivered in sudden floods. It's meant to flow in rhythm. Think of a garden hose. If you leave it dry all day and then suddenly blast it with water, it sputters, shakes, and wastes pressure. But if you allow a slow, steady flow, the pressure stays constant, reliable. Your circulation works the same way. A half glass every 45 to 60 minutes keeps blood volume stable and oxygen delivery consistent. It prevents the highs and lows men often mistake for just aging. Instead of roller coaster energy up in the morning, crashing after lunch, you carry a steady rhythm through the day. I'll never forget George, a 66-year-old former factory supervisor. He came into my office convinced his afternoon crashes were from low testosterone. He was ready to begin hormone therapy. But when I asked him about his hydration, he admitted he barely touched water until mid-afternoon, then tried to catch up with 3 or 4 glasses at once. I asked him to try steady sipping instead. 2 weeks later, he returned with a grin. "Doctor, turns out I didn't need a prescription. I just needed to keep a glass on my desk." His afternoons stabilized, his mood lifted, and his wife noticed something else. His intimacy was more reliable too. That's because erections, like energy, depend on consistent pressure. If you let your body run dry for hours, by the time evening arrives, your circulation is already compromised. No last-minute chug of water can undo the deficit. But steady sipping builds a foundation so that when evening comes, whether for exercise, conversation with friends, or intimacy, you're ready, confident, prepared. Another overlooked benefit is how steady sipping prevents confusion between thirst and hunger. Many men reach for sugar or coffee in the afternoon when what their body really wants is water. A simple glass can lift alertness, steady focus, and prevent the cycle of sugar spikes and caffeine crashes that only worsen fatigue. Gentlemen, this habit isn't flashy. It doesn't involve new gadgets, expensive supplements, or complex schedules. But it gives you something priceless: stability. When you sip steadily, you reclaim authority over your circulation. You give your body what it needs before it begs, and in return, you walk into each part of your day with a quiet confidence, knowing your energy will be there when you call on it. But there's one more crucial detail that men often get wrong. It's about timing specifically. The mistake of drinking too much water right before activity or intimacy. And trust me, that one error can undo the benefits of everything we've discussed so far. Let's talk about it. Over the years, I've noticed a familiar pattern among men determined to reclaim their vitality. They know water is important, so they try to outsmart the system. Right before exercise or intimacy, they gulp down 2 or 3 large glasses, hoping to supercharge their circulation. On the surface, it sounds logical. In practice, it often backfires. Your body doesn't work like a faucet that you can turn on at the last minute. Hydration is not a quick fix, it's a long game. And when you flood yourself right before activity, your blood doesn't suddenly increase in volume and power. What actually happens is less glamorous. Your stomach feels bloated, your bladder fills quickly, and your electrolytes get diluted. Instead of stronger performance, you end up distracted, uncomfortable, and sometimes embarrassed. I remember Leonard, a 65-year-old salesman. He admitted sheepishly, "Doctor, I always drink 2 tall glasses right before being with my wife. I thought it would give me better flow." Instead, it gave him frequent interruptions and a sense of frustration. When I guided him to hydrate consistently earlier in the day instead of cramming at the last minute, his confidence returned. He later told me, "For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about my body, I was simply present with her." That's what true hydration gives you, presence, not panic. Exercise works the same way. Hydration is vital for muscle recovery, cardiovascular endurance, and lower body circulation. But your body can't use a sudden flood minutes before you move. All that fluid sloshes in your stomach, leaving you heavy and sluggish. The best athletes understand this secret. They hydrate hours before competition, not seconds. While you may not be training for the Olympics, the principle is identical. Whether you're walking the neighborhood or sharing intimacy at home, hydration must be preparation, not desperation. I often tell my patients to picture water like fuel in a car. You don't wait until the engine sputters and then dump in a gallon all at once. You keep the tank filled consistently so the engine runs smooth. By the time you need performance on a treadmill or in the bedroom, your body is already primed, not scrambling to process a sudden overload. And here's the hopeful part. Once men break this habit, results come quickly. They notice fewer bathroom interruptions, less bloating, and a deeper confidence in the moment. One man told me, "Doctor, for the first time in years, I didn't have to stop halfway through, I could just enjoy it." That kind of freedom isn't about magic, it's about steady preparation. So, gentlemen, remember this truth: real hydration is built throughout the day. The water you drink at breakfast, the half glass you sip mid-morning, the steady rhythm you keep through the afternoon, that is what shows up when you need it most. Not the 2 desperate glasses before you turn out the lights. But hydration doesn't exist in isolation. To truly unlock vitality, you must combine it with the other pillars of health: nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress control. When those partners align with hydration, the results multiply in ways that surprise even the most skeptical men. Let's talk about those long-term partners next. Gentlemen, hydration is powerful, but let me be perfectly clear. It is not a magic switch you flip once and forget. Water is the foundation, but if you truly want lasting vitality after 60, hydration must be joined by its long-term partners: nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. When these elements align, the results don't just add up, they multiply. The first partner is nutrition. What you eat directly shapes your circulation. Foods like spinach, beets, and leafy greens boost nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes blood vessels and keeps blood flowing freely. Berries reduce inflammation. Fatty fish like salmon supply omega-3s that prevent blood from becoming too thick. But here's the key: without hydration, those nutrients struggle to move where they are needed. Franklin, a 70-year-old former pilot, once told me he ate like a health textbook, but still felt sluggish. The problem wasn't his diet, it was his lack of water. Within weeks of correcting hydration, he felt the benefits of his food choices for the first time. The second partner is exercise. Even something as simple as a brisk 20-minute walk strengthens the muscles that support erections and stimulates blood flow. But dehydration makes exercise harder. Thickened blood strains the heart, cramping muscles slow you down, and fatigue cuts your efforts short. I've seen men give up on workouts thinking age had caught them, when in truth their bodies were simply underfueled with water. Once hydrated, the same walk that once drained them became invigorating. The third partner is sleep. This is when your body repairs itself, when testosterone is produced, when tissues recover. But poor hydration patterns sabotage sleep in 2 ways: by underhydrating during the day, leaving your body restless, or by flooding with water late at night, forcing repeated bathroom trips. Balanced hydration, steady during the day, limited in the hours before bed, creates deeper, more restorative rest. And deep rest means stronger mornings, better recovery, and more dependable performance. The fourth partner is stress management. Few men realize that dehydration raises cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. High cortisol chips away at testosterone, drives fatigue, and weakens your mood. Proper hydration acts as a buffer, lowering stress response and supporting a steadier hormone balance. Combine that with mindfulness, walking, or even just 5 minutes of quiet breathing, and you'll notice not only less stress, but more confidence in the bedroom as well. Picture your health like a table. Hydration is the base, but the four legs, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress control, are what make it steady. If one is missing, the table wobbles. But when all four stand firm, the result is stability, strength, and vitality that feels decades younger. I've seen men in their 70s glow with energy they hadn't felt since their 40s, not from pills, not from gimmicks, but from weaving these habits together. Hydration made the difference between average and extraordinary because it unlocked the power of everything else they were already trying. Gentlemen, don't fall into the trap of thinking hydration alone is the whole picture. It's the cornerstone, yes, but the house still needs walls and a roof. When you combine these partners with consistent hydration, the transformation is far greater than the sum of its parts. And now that you understand how these long-term partners work together, let me leave you with something even more important, a message of hope. Because too many men over 60 believe decline is permanent when the truth is far brighter. Let's talk about that next. Gentlemen, after decades of working with men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, I can tell you something with absolute conviction. Your body is not broken and your best years are not behind you. Too many men come to me defeated, believing fatigue, slower recovery, and weaker erections are simply the inevitable price of age. But what I've seen again and again is very different. With the right choices, sometimes as simple as correcting hydration, strength, clarity, and intimacy can return in ways that feel like a second chance. At its core, an erection is not complicated. It's hydraulics. Just as a hose needs steady water pressure to expand and hold its shape, your body needs steady blood volume to fill erectile tissue and maintain it. And blood, gentlemen, is more than 90% water. Without enough, circulation slows, energy fades, and confidence crumbles. With enough, your body is capable of far more than you realize. Hydration may not sound glamorous. It doesn't come in a shiny bottle or with a dramatic promise, but when practiced consistently, it can be transformative. I think of Howard, a 72-year-old retired carpenter. When he first came to see me, he told me, "Doctor, I feel like my body is winding down." He missed the spark in his mornings, the stamina that carried him through a day's work, and the closeness he once shared with his wife. He had tried supplements, pills, even hormone therapy, but nothing gave him what he truly wanted, steady, natural performance. We began with the basics, hydration. A tall glass first thing in the morning, steady sipping through the day, avoiding the flood right before bed. Within weeks, the changes were striking. His energy steadied, his mornings felt brighter, and his evenings with his wife carried a warmth he thought had vanished. He walked into my office 2 months later, smiling from ear to ear, and said, "Doctor, I feel like I've been given back a piece of my life." Howard's story is not rare. It's the pattern I've seen in men who choose to act. They discover that vitality is not reserved for the young, it's unlocked by consistent care even in later years. Here's what I want you to hold on to. Aging does not mean surrender. Your body is capable of recovery. Your circulation can improve. Your energy can rise. And your confidence can return when you give your body what it truly needs. The beauty is, it begins with something as simple, as available, and as overlooked as water. But knowing this truth is only the first step. The real transformation happens when you live it, when tomorrow morning you pour that first glass, sip it, and commit to steady rhythm through your day. That's where change begins. Gentlemen, hope is not a luxury, it's a choice. And when you choose to believe your body can still surprise you, when you choose to act, the results can be more powerful than you ever imagined. Now let's bring this journey to a close with one final message. A conclusion to remind you that your best years can still be ahead. Gentlemen, we've walked a long road together, but the message is simple. Hydration is not just about quenching thirst. It's about giving your body the foundation it needs to restore energy, sharpen focus, and bring back the kind of dependable performance you thought belonged to the past. We uncovered the hidden mistakes, skipping water in the morning, relying on thirst, flooding your system at the wrong times. We replaced them with the morning reset, the power of steady sipping, and the wisdom of avoiding last-minute gulps before exercise or intimacy. We connected hydration to its long-term partners, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress control, showing how they multiply the benefits. And finally, we reminded ourselves that hope is not a fantasy. It's a choice within reach. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s rediscover confidence they thought had vanished forever. I've watched faces light up as they told me how something as basic as water gave them back mornings full of energy, evenings full of intimacy, and days full of purpose. And now it's your turn. Start tomorrow with that first glass. Sip steadily through the day. Protect your nights by stopping the flood before bedtime. Pair water with good food, movement, restful sleep, and a calmer mind. Do these small things and you may find yourself stronger, clearer, and more confident than you've been in years. But don't just listen, act. If this message spoke to you, hit the like button right now. Every like tells me there are men out there refusing to surrender, choosing instead to build strength and dignity with each passing year. Drop a comment below, tell me your age, your biggest challenge, or even your doubts. I read them all and I respond because this is more than a lecture, it's a conversation. Share this video with a friend who needs it. And subscribe so you never miss another tool, another story, another step toward living with confidence after 60. Gentlemen, your best years are not behind you. They can still be ahead if you decide to take this step. A glass of water may seem small, but it can change everything. So here's my final blessing to you. May your mornings be light, your afternoons steady, your evenings rich with connection. And may every sip remind you, you are still capable of living strong, living clear, and living fully.